Okay. I'll present my this work. Yes, Marie can. Okay. Start.
I think that in the room they are not able to hear your speech. Sarah Faedda said, hold on a minute, we can't hear you. I don't know why. We listen, we hear now, but perhaps in the room at the university it doesn't work.
Yes, now I see and I see our solution. So, are we ready to listen?
Because I have connection today.
Yeah, it's a problem of connection, I think.
I don't know why. I try to present if you hear me and see.
Only just a minute, because Sarah Faedda said that she's not able to hear you.
From the University of Cagliari, and this research was financed by Italian.
Ciao Maria.
Can you hear
Hello.
me? Hello, Maria.
Sì, ora ti sento. Prima non sentivo nulla, non ti vedevo.
Perfect.
Sarah, please, could you help us? Sarah Faedda. Did you hear me, Sarah? Okay. Please, Valeria, you can start again, because now they hear us.
Okay, I'm ready. You can see my
Yes.
screen?
Now, yes,
Okay.
it works.
Fantastic. The work that I present today is is titled SDGs Localization, a new tool for a comprehensive assessment of neighborhood sustainability. And this research was developed with my colleagues, Ivan Belecic, Italo Meloni, and Francesco Piras from the University of Cagliari. And this research was financed by the Italian Ministry of Ecological Transition to support the implementation of the Sardinian Regional Strategy for Sustainable Development. And in particular, the study focuses on the implementation of SDGs at the neighborhood level. And this is a very important topic because there is a significant delay in achieving the SDGs and the decade of evaluation for action 2020 and 2030, designed by the United Nations, aims to accelerate the achievement of SDGs by promoting strong evaluation capacities and evidence-based policies. So SDGs localization is a very important strategy because can be improved and accelerated this process of achievement of the goal of the 2030 agenda. And so local governments are invited to evaluate and monitor their policies and intervention through voluntary local review or positioning reports. And there are very important efforts in this direction, but we observe that are a very strong scale of analysis, and so the data analysis and evaluation are focused on, especially in urban area, especially on big and great scale, and lack of a more detailed evaluation at the microscale, urban microscale level. And so we also have observed that there are many certification system and rating system to and protocols like the neighborhood sustainability assessment tool that are very important and very useful to reach this goal. And so this tool propose a clear and measurable indicator for assessing existing urban area project or design, and integrating different dimensions of sustainability from environmental to social, economic, but also institutional issue. And so this multi-criteria analysis proposed by this certification tool align very well with SDGs structure. And so they are very important starting point from our point of view for the evaluation of the contribution of the general transformation of neighborhoods, so the ordinary transformation of the city in this important objective that is to achieve the SDGs of the 2030 agenda. And this alignment is also suggested and demonstrated by the tool developer that in recent years are encouraging SDGs achievement through their certification system. And we observe also that one important limitation of these tools is that despite the integrated approach proposed by this tool, emerges predominantly environmental focus. And And another limitation is their private nature. And these tools are used by investors to evaluate a few selected projects and the urban area due to the high economic cost of this certification. So we have proposed an SDGs-based neighborhood sustainability evaluation framework that are designed to overcome this limitation. In particular, this research is developed by the University of Cagliari, the Department of Environmental and Civil and Architecture, Engineering and Architecture of the University of Cagliari, and the proposed tool are very aligned with the Sardinia 20 and 30 strategy that are and so the structure that we propose are aligned with the 5 pillars or main thematic area of the Sardinia strategy that are defined according to the European cohesion policy. And we have applied a 3-step procedure. The first was the definition of the evaluation framework in reference to the Sardinia strategy. And so we have selected a set of indicators starting from the most certification tool and SDGs targets. And we have the definition. We have defined the thematic indices and the indicator of our model. And the data and the indicator that we propose are two type. The first are traditional indicator based on per capita data or the percentage of, for example, land area with a specific use, such as public space of green area according to traditional methodology, but also we use high fidelity evaluation indicator that consider intrinsic and quality and real accessibility by evaluating the distance of specific, for example, destination and services from street node or building to evaluate the distance of the people, the residents, the inhabitants of different neighborhoods from these important services or other important parts and features of the neighborhood. And we have applied the proposed index in 2 neighborhoods of Cagliari, and this case study application show the potential of this evaluation tool. We can see in this image the high detail of the proposed analysis, and we also can see the high definition of the GIS system that we are used for data collection and mapping. That is a very important instrument to communicate also the information with administrator and with citizen, and so to enabling participatory processes, for example. And we can see other analysis. So we have the evaluation that are for each building. That is an important strategy to see how many people, for example, that live in this building effectively have a real accessibility to different destination, and we can also assign a score using this indicator for different different feature and characteristics, and so different indicators that are included in this tool. And so we have assigned a general score and a specific score for each indicator that it's important to define a starting point, to define policies, for example, to better improve this area. And the main objective the cost-effective and accessible evaluation framework for neighborhoods, to ensure the framework integrates environmental, social, economic, and institutional indicator, so all the important pillar of sustainability, and to align the framework with both local and global sustainability goal, and to facilitate data collection and analysis at the neighborhood level to inform policymaking and planning. This is important for our main objective, so institutionalize sustainability reporting at this micro urban scale. And I focus also in another potential. This can be optimize the public expenditure and prepare the municipality, for example, to spend potential extraordinary public fund and from unexpected resources. For example, the PNRR in Italy is an important instrument for this goal, and prepare the local government to better use these funds. And there are also the limitations that are related to data collection and the process that are very important and expensive. But in a future, if you use and institutionalize this type of practice, can be more easier that in this moment. I have concluded. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Valeria. Many thanks for your very interesting presentation. There are some issues that could be relevant to reflect about your presentation, especially considering the relevance of indicators in order to assess the different kind of performance related to design a PNR process. Do you think that the selection of indicators could be shared also with some technical expert and local community in order to identify in which way some different strategy could be assessed in a situated approach?
I think that is very important, because the selection and the prioritization of the indicator are the core of this tool. The localization of SDGs require participation and process. A participatory process that include local administration first, but also economic stakeholders and citizens, to define what are the priorities of a particular urban area, and so also to orient the choice of indicator, but also their aid in respect to the general score that they can be within the tool. So this is a very important process that is necessary to perform and to define transformation, I think.
Okay. Really, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Carmela, would you like to introduce the second presentation? Perhaps Carmela. Okay. I introduced the second presentation that is with Marco Lecurcio, Pierluigi Morano, Francesco Tajani, and Francesco Sica, and also Tiziana Acquafredda.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Tiziana.
Good morning.
Yes, now yes. Please,
Now
the floor is yours.
Thank you. So, if you can see my screen, I begin. Good morning. So I am Tiziana Acquafredda, Research Fellow in Real Estate Appraisal and Economic Evaluation at the Polytechnic of Bari. And I'm presenting the work entitled Relationship between Real Estate Indices and Inflation Trends, an application to the European residential property market, conducted in collaboration with Professors Marco Lecurcio, Pierluigi Morano from the Polytechnic of Bari, and Professors Francesco Tajani and Francesco Sica from the Sapienza University of Rome. So this index represents the structure of the presentation, and first it is necessary to describe the framework from which this research arises. So the starting point is the controversial role that real estate investment assumes in the context of the global economy. The idea that it allows to protect the capital from the depreciation due to inflation is widespread among investors, but its validity is often disputed, especially during uncertainty periods. In recent times, the uncertainty deriving from the increase in inflation rate and in construction prices is also fueled by the energetic crisis and by the tensions in the current geopolitical backdrop. So in such unpredictable circumstances, it is questionable whether the real estate is an advantageous asset class to invest in. It follows that the objective of the present research is to determine whether the residential real estate investment is an appropriate choice in order to hedge capital against inflation. In other words, is to understand if it reliably performs as a shield against the inflation-related loss of nominal value of the household savings. This issue can be addressed by exploring how house prices behave in relation with the inflation fluctuations. So the study will focus on the relation in the European economic context between the characteristics of the housing market and the trend in consumer prices inflation. So first of all, a portion of the scientific literature focused on this relationship is reviewed. And as a result, we can claim that the majority of the analyzed papers detect that a correlation exists between house prices and inflation dynamics. Among these works, the largest part identifies this relation as a positive relation, outlining that residential properties investment effectively hedge capital against inflation. And some papers highlight factors affecting this real estate inflation hedging ability, such as characteristics of the market, of the specific asset, but also the typology of the considered inflation. So the existing, only in few papers, the existence of a negative correlation is found, probably as a consequence of different methodological choices. So as regards the methodology, in this work, the eventual existence of a relationship between house prices and consumer prices inflation is investigated through a correlation analysis that also reveals what kind of relation this is and its magnitude. In order to perform the analysis, the data about the housing market characteristics and about the trend of consumer prices inflation in the European context are collected through the Eurostat database and its indicators and variables. A significant benefit of using this source of information is the consistency in the national data collation and elaboration, which ensure uniform results. Specifically, two different correlation analyses will be carried out, producing two different groups of matrices. The first analysis is performed between the selected indicators, focusing on each country. The second one will be implemented between the different countries, so focusing on each indicator. In total, 10 indicators were selected from the Eurostat database, depending on the relevance they assume in the description of the national housing markets and on inflationary trends. And national data were collected for 24 countries of the European Union based on the availability and on the completeness of the historical series over the period 2010-2022. Beside the national data, also annual data for the European Union aggregates for the 27 European Union aggregate and for the 20 euro area aggregate also were collected. So first, the house price index is important because it captures the changes in transaction prices of all types of dwellings. And it is also available with respect to purchases of newly built dwellings and purchases of existing dwellings separately. The inflation-adjusted version of this global house price index is also considered. And the owner-occupied housing price index, which solely refers to dwellings owned and occupied by the same household, so for the first home scope, is included in the analysis with several indicators, sub-indicators. Lastly, the harmonized index of consumer prices is included because it represents all items inflation in the European area. So the results of the first correlation analysis are similar when such analysis is performed on the data for the vast majority of the 24 European Union countries taken individually, and also for the 27 EU aggregate and for the 20 euro area aggregate. As we can see, the metrics related for the EU 27 aggregate, provided as an example, these results demonstrate a strong positive correlation existing among all the 10 indicators. This correlation analysis leads instead to different results only for a few countries, with some indicators being positively correlated, some indicators being negatively correlated, and with a wide and varied range of coefficients. These countries are Italy, Cyprus, and Romania. And from here, we will focus on Italy. The values obtained for the Italian market show that the house price index and its deflated version, which have a strong positive correlation, are both strongly positively correlated with the HPI for existing dwellings. And a possible reason for this analogy between the market of the existing dwellings and the overall national housing market may be the preponderance of the existing properties in the real estate stock, which is a consideration valid for the majority of the EU member states. Indeed, we notice that this result is in line with European trends. This strong positive correlation leads us to find comparable results when analyzing the correlation among these three indicators and the remaining indicators. These correlation coefficients visibly differ from the strong positive correlation trend prevailing across Europe, as we can see in this matrix. In addition, the Italian context reports the correlation between the house price index for new dwellings and the other house price index sub-indicators, which is weak. A possible explanation for this finding is the different effect that location and features of the urban area in general exert on the price formation for new and existing buildings. As a consequence, the strong positive correlation between the HPI for new dwellings and all the remaining indicators show that it is the only indicator among the HPI category which pattern is in line with the results mainly achieved in the European context. So now let's focus on the owner-occupied housing price index and the related sub-indicators. We can see that positive correlation exists between such categories and the HPI for newly built dwellings, among the different OOHPI indicators, and between the OOHPI indicators and the Harmonized Index of Consumer Prices, the HICP. These findings indicate that when focusing only on the retail residential real estate market concerning the purchase of the first home and leaving aside the acquisition for investment purposes, the Italian market follows the prevailing European trend. Differently, as we could expect also from the previous findings, the relationships existing between the OOHPI indices and respectively the total HPI, the HPI for existing dwellings, and the deflated HPI deviates from the widespread European market behavior. And lastly, the Harmonized Index of the Consumer Prices, the HICP, shows a positive correlation with each indicator, as always, except for the HPI for existing dwellings, and the deflated HPI. So trying to explain this phenomenon, on the one hand, the positive correlation between inflation and new building prices can be associated to the close link between the increasing prices of production factors, the consequent increase in construction costs, and the consequent increase in prices of newly built dwellings. On the other hand, the high inflation causes a reduction of the consumer's purchasing power, and thus the prices of existing houses are forced to contract. And so it provokes the negative correlation with the HICP, which is the distinctive feature of the Italian housing market when compared to the European context. Obviously, this finding can lead to some investment strategy consideration. Moving to the second correlation analysis, which is performed for the comparison of a single indicator among the various geographical areas. The results can be summarized in these three graphs. So the total HPI graphs on the left reveals different trends in European countries that we can summarize in this way. A linear growth is found in Germany, while in France, which is in line with the European behavior, a constant trend until the 2014 is reported, and a growing trend after 2014. For Spain, a sharp decrease until 2013 and a sharp turnaround after. And lastly, in Italy, a sinusoidal trend with the shorter cycle and shorter ranges, and also a slower recovery is found. The same dynamics, but with less pronounced growth, can be seen for the deflated HPI, especially from the 2022. Due to the strong inflation, there is a slower growth. Finally, for all the countries except for Italy, the total OOHPI, Owner-Occupied Housing Price Index, shows us results similar to the HPI, but with minor variation, while in Italy, this indicator shows less variability compared with other European countries. So to conclude, the different behavior detected in the Italian housing market is probably due to its distinctive features. So the fact that households play a predominant role in the market, the specificities of the existing properties, and the locational component, for example. This behavior is also found in Cyprus and Romania, but with a lesser extent. Some consideration involving the investment strategies can be drawn from this analysis. And so we know that an effective way to protect capital against inflationary risk is the diversification, both in geographical and typological terms. That's why, for example, including in an European real estate portfolio, apartments which are located in Italy, better if in the consolidated urban territory, can offer advantages in presence of inflationary pressures. A possible progression of this work could envisage the integration of other socio-demographical variables in the analysis, such as population, income, and this could yield further considerations on investment strategies. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Tiziana, for your interesting presentation. There are some questions from the other participant or from Professor Torre. No, I have a question. About your comparison, is it relevant the position of Italy considering the relationship with the other countries you observed in Europe? Do you think that if this kind of analysis could be implemented considering the different realities of the Italian city, we could observe different relationship or some relevant factors that could be significant for the identification of the different behaviors that in Italy we can observe, considering the real estate market dynamics?
Yes, of course, there could be differences among Italian cities. So this analysis could be studied more in detail for the different areas, regions of Italy, and also for different cities. We should consider that it is a strongly varied panorama that we see, and so we can see differences also in the same city. So of course we can see a difference among cities. So thank you for the inspiration for next studies. We should consider this factor.
Okay. Professor Torre, do you want to introduce some other issue related to the presentation of Tiziana Acquafredda? We have some problem of connection, so really sorry for this. Okay. Thank you so much, Tiziana. Really, thanks. Now we have the third presentation of Francesco Tajani, Francesco Sica, Pierluigi Morano, Marco Locurcio, and Antonella Roma. Perhaps Antonella Roma will make the presentation.
Good morning.
Good morning, Antonella. Welcome in our session. Please, the floor is yours.
Do you hear me?
Yes, now yes.
Sorry, I have a problem. Do you see my screen?
Yes, it works.
Thank you. Good morning. I am Antonella Roma, a PhD student from University of Rome Sapienza, and today I'll present this research entitled An Evaluation Method of the Building Decarbonization Process at the International Level, carried out with Professors Francesco Tajani, Francesco Sica, Pierluigi Morano, and Marco Locurcio. The presentation is structured into 5 parts. Climate change is a critical issue affecting ecosystems, economies, health, and human well-being. Its urgency is reflected in the global laws and policies on climate change. In September 2015, 193 UN member states signed the 2030 Agenda, with 17 Sustainable Development Goals, including the fight against climate change. In December 2015, the Paris Agreement, a legally binding international treaty, was adopted to keep global temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level, with the aim of limiting it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The European Commission introduced the Green Deal in December 2019. This commitment aims to make Europe the first climate-neutral continent by 2050. The plan includes measures to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, promote clean energy, and improve energy efficiency. To align with the European Commission's net zero emission targets, it's essential to analyze the sector that contribute most to GHG emissions. The building and construction sector is a major contributor, accounting for 36% of annual GHG emission in the European Union. To meet the Paris Agreement and European Green Deal targets, fossil fuel-dependent sectors, including real estate, need a decarbonization pathway. Sustainability certification for new building is growing in popularity, but focusing only on the energy efficiency of new buildings won't meet European Union targets quickly enough. It's also vital to improve the energy efficiency of older buildings. Current greenhouse gas emissions from buildings won't meet the 2 degrees Celsius target by 2050. To avoid economic losses, it is essential to speed up energy retrofitting, as buildings that don't meet sustainability standards lose value and become stranded assets. Stranded assets may be closed before their time, used less, or become costly to retrofit. The European Union-funded project Carbon Risk Real Estate Monitor is important in this context. The main objective of the CREM project is to prevent early obsolescence and depreciation of buildings due to new legislation and market demand for sustainable products. CREM helps property companies manage these risks by providing a clear understanding of the decarbonization of property. The CREM tool, as an XLS file, assesses the energy efficiency of assets and measures the impact of asset restructuring. For cases where detailed building data is not available, the project offers the decarbonization target tool to assess decarbonization and energy reduction path without detailed data. The CREM project's decarbonization target sheet shows the decarbonization path for 10 asset classes in 30 European countries. Following this path will result in net zero emissions by 2050. The project has allocated the global emission budget scientifically by country, in line with the Paris Agreement target. The CREM project allows users to select a country and asset class to view the decarbonization path for that building stock. For example, the path for the Italian residential sectors starts in 2020 with data on GHG emission and energy use intensity based on market averages. The program then generates a decarbonization pathway from 2020 to 2050 with the annual target to achieve near zero emissions in line with European policies. This study compares the decarbonization pathway of 10 real estate classes used in 30 European countries from the CREM project. The analysis will identify which countries need stronger policies to accelerate the renovation of the housing stock. The methodology involved extracting GHG emissions data for 10 property sectors in 30 European countries from the CREM project. The data was then processed using comparative analysis, in particular pairwise comparison logic, to identify the sector with the highest GHG emissions in each country. The results were used to structure the Decarbonization Performance Index, which shows each country's performance against European Union targets. An etiological analysis was also carried out to identify the drivers of GHG emissions. To answer the research questions, the first stage of the methodology involved the construction of pairwise comparison matrices. As described above, CREM provides an indication of GHG emissions for 10 real estate use sectors for each year from 2020 to 2050. Therefore, the dataset considered contains 31 data points, one for each year, for each of the use sectors. The table in the slide shows, as an example, the data available for Italy. To compare the sector, 31 matrices, one for each year from 2020 to 2050 of order 10 per 10, corresponding to the 10 uses classes to be compared, were constructed for each of the 30 European countries included in CREM. These resulted in a total of 930 comparison matrices. The figure shows two examples of these matrices, specifically for the years 2020 and 2021, comparing the GHG emissions data of the 10 Italian property sectors. Each cell in the matrix contains the ratio between the GHG emissions of the two sectors being compared. This process was repeated for each of the 31 countries years and for each of the 30 countries analyzed. The values in each row have been summed to produce 10 scores, one for each row. These scores describe the performance of each asset class in terms of GHG emissions for the specific year represented in the matrix. The figure illustrates the performance of the 10 sectors in Italy for the year 2020. It shows that the health sector in Italy is the largest contributor to GHG emissions in 2020. The next step was to identify the asset class most responsible for GHG emission in each country by summing the 31 scores for each asset class over the 31 years analyzed. For example, for the healthcare sector in Italy, the scores from 2020 to 2050 were summed together. This process was repeated for each of the 10 asset classes, resulting in a sub-index for each country, indicating which sector will require the most policy effort to achieve the net zero emissions target. The asset class score were then normalized. The example in the slide shows that for Italy, the healthcare sector requires the most effort to achieve the net zero emission target. The development of the sub-index reveals that the real estate sectors with the highest GHG emissions in the 30 European countries analyzed. The healthcare sector is the largest emitter in 14 countries. The high street retail sector is the largest emitter in 20% of the countries. In the third step of the proposed methodology, the Building Decarbonization Performance Index were constructed. The 10 scores obtained in the first step, one for each sector, were summed within each matrix. An example of the comparative matrix developed for the years 2020 for Italy is shown in the slide. The 31 scores obtained in this way for each nation were added together again. This resulted in a synthetic index expressing the performance of a nation as a whole. The constructed index has been normalized and georeferenced. Its purpose is to identify which country is most far from the decarbonization path and where energy renovation policies need to be accelerated. According to the index, Denmark has the best energy performance with lower GHG emissions, in line with the Paris Agreement targets. In contrast, Cyprus, Malta, Sweden, and Spain have the highest GHG emissions, indicating the need for stronger policies to achieve net zero emissions in these countries. The index developed aims to provide a qualitative framework that highlights which European countries need more attention based on the GHG emissions from their building stock. This process assesses the location of emissions, but it is also useful to consider the factors that influence a country's adherence to the decarbonization path. To this end, an etiological analysis was developed to explore the correlation between selected socioeconomic indicators and the index. These indicators, selected on the basis of academic literature, identifying the main drivers of GHG emissions. and were extracted from public statistic portals and correlated with the index. A correlation analysis was carried out between the identified variables and the index using scatter plots and a correlation matrix. The figure shows 2 of the 8 scatter plots generated. These graphs provided preliminary insights that were further developed using the results of the correlation matrix. Scatter plots are useful for correlation analysis as they provide an initial view of the relationship between two variables and help to identify outliers that may affect the correlation coefficient. There is no strong correlation between the index and the selected demographic and socioeconomic variables. However, there is a clustering around some index values, and in addition, some outliers have been identified, such as Germany in the correlation between the index and the population and death. The correlation analysis shows a moderate positive relationship between GHG emission and population density, suggesting that more densely populated countries tend to have higher GHG emissions. For selected socioeconomic and demographic variables, there is a weak positive correlation between the index and the population, fuel import, fuel exports, death, and saled land. But there are two outliers. GPD and renewable energy show weak but negative correlations. This shows that countries with lower GHG emissions often rely more on renewable energy sources, which is consistent with the analysis from the European Union, where the energy sector is a major contributor to GHG emissions. Therefore, energy efficiency renovation of the European building stock remains a key objective of government sustainability policies. Furthermore, the correlation matrix shows a weak negative correlation between GPD and the index, indicating that countries with lower GPD have more difficulties to reduce greenhouse gas emission effectively. Human activities are the main source of greenhouse gas emission, contributing to climate change. This study presents a decarbonization performance index for housing in 30 European countries based on data of the CREM project. The index identifies areas where investment is needed to reach the goals of the Paris Agreement and protect property values. Future research developments plan to increase the analysis of variables that could be drivers of GHG emissions so that the problem can be solved at its source. It is also planned to further investigate the results obtained in the scatter plots developed using cluster analysis. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Antonella. Really interesting your presentation. Also because underlines some relevant issue that could be significant not only for the decarbonization processes, but also for the inclusion of different aspects that could be able to influence the socioeconomic urban dynamics. Professor Torre, Carmelo, if you want to, I know that decarbonization is a topic that you consider particularly relevant, so would like to introduce a question for Antonella. There are some problems with the microphone. No. Okay. Thank you so much, Antonella, for your presentation. I think that
Welcome.
we have the opportunity to reflect also on your project, CREM, because it's particularly interesting also for the different perspective that it will be able to activate. Thank you for your participation.
You're welcome.
And now we have the fourth presentation that is related to the paper of Edda Donati, Sergio Copiello, and Pietro Bonifaci. I think that Edda Donati will be will make the presentation. Welcome, Edda Donati. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now I'm just try to share the presentation. Okay. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay. I start.
Yes.
Welcome. I'm Edda Donati, I'm PhD student at the University of Venice, and this research was carried out thanks to the help and the supervision of Professor Sergio Copiello and Pietro Bonifaci. The title of the research is Application and Economic Profiles of the Turkey Contra Business Model, and came from my PhD thesis. I would like to start with a little bit introduction. Since the 90s, it has been recognized that the majority of the greenhouse gas emissions are due to human activity, and they are strongly connected to the real estate sector. And the research showed that this is because the main European real estate asset is made of old inefficient buildings, and properties are constructed after the Second World War without any advice thinking about the environment. And this result is due to the long life cycle and also the limited number of construction of new efficient buildings. And because of that, the European Union has promoted several directives since 2002, aim to increase the efficiency of existing dwellings or the construction of new ones. And the European government have issued several incentives over the last decades for promote the efficiency of the existing facilities and for promoting the energy efficiency measure to their own real estate assets. And these things also brings to the development and the creation of some innovative and sustainable business model. And in order to develop and to support the energy efficiency measure. And among the sustainable business model, there is the turnkey contract business model that is the main topic of the research. What is the main difference between a traditional business model and a sustainable business model? A sustainable business model is mainly focused on the services, not on the product. It has a very long supply chain in order to reduce the waste and the pollution, and at the same time, the financial earnings can be calculated in the short period, but in the long period because of the very long supply chain that which characterize this kind of model. In this particular situation, Turkey contra business model was originated in the United States, and after that was adopted at the beginning in the gas industries, and after that was adopted also in the real estate assets. And the first one who gave a definition of what is the Turkey contract, what is this kind of sustainable business model, was Freeman, that defined his as a contract whereby a single contractor secures and establishes all promises, facilities, tools, etc. And consumer only needs to turn the key to use the new facilities fully and effectively. This derived the names turnkey contract business model, and it is made up of 5 different actors: the customer, the contractor, the project manager, the project coordinator, and the subcontractors. And in this kind of model, the customer have just to give some inputs, but the planning of the project, the necessary skill and organization is all about the contractor. And also this kind of model is mainly used for the construction of new buildings. And between the customer and the contractor, there is another figure that is the project manager. He has to control all the phase of the project and at the same time give all the information to the customers about the project and how it works. And sometimes he has also needs some project coordinator in order to coordinate all the phases of the project. And the project manager has also the role of nominate some subcontractors if there are some specific works that the main contractor is not able to do by himself. For the analysis, so for finding out which are the main economic profiles that are want to use this kind of model in order to build their new house, are the multiple correspondence analysis and the K-modes analysis. The first method, the first analysis is the multiple correspondence analysis, which came from the correspondence analysis, and it is a statistical technique that is able to find out the relationship between the row and the columns of a contingency table and can be examined and then visualized in a map. And we decided to use this kind of analysis because the data were almost all categorical and nominal data. Each point in this dataset is located in a multidimensional space, and each point is assigned a specific weight. And a distance can be calculated between the different points. That is called the chi-square distance. And how much the points are distance, this means they are not so much correlated between each other. While if they are very, very close to each other, this means that they are quite correlated. So there is an importance relationship between them. And the steps to perform the multiple correspondence analysis, but at the same time, the correspondence analysis are creating the contingency map, calculating the marginal proportion, calculating of the conditional proportion that represents the conditional probability that certain categories of the variables occurs as a function to other categories of the variable. Correspondence analysis, so using this conditional proportion to calculate the coordinates of row and columns in a multidimensional space. And after that, there is the graphical representation. We can have two different kind of representation, the symmetric and the asymmetric map. And after that, there is the second method that we use for finding out the economic profiles related to the turnkey contract business model. And this kind of method, we decided to use the key modes and the cluster analysis with the key modes. That is an extension of the key means algorithm. As we all know, the cluster analysis is defined by a center called centroid and by a distance that, in this case, in the key means is generally Euclidean distance. And as you can see there is in the formula 2. While in the K-modes algorithm, we decided, as I said before, we decided this kind of analysis because of the data set and because of data, but the distance between the points is not connected to the Euclidean distance, but is related the number of attributes that differ between x and y. So is given by gamma, and gamma xe minus yE, where if the function is equal to 0, if xe is equal to yE, and so this means the attributes are equal, and 1 if xe is different to yE, so the attributes are different. After that, I want to introduce about the data. For finding out the economic profiles, we decided to analyze 11 case studies which were related to the construction of new buildings in some European countries like Belgium, Germany, Netherlands, and Spain. Each of these case studies is related to the construction of new buildings, also some office, but also some private homes. And also, as you can see here in table 1, there is the code, the name of the case studies, the country, the ownership, if it's public or private, and also the construction year. These are their geolocalization with the information that we see in table 1. And after that, there are the variables. The variables are related of the business model used. So as you can see in the yellow part, there are some important information about the business model that is the turnkey contract business model. So there is the ownership, the customer, contractors, subcontractors, investment, project period, net floor area, and intended use. And at the same time, there are other variables related to the physical aspects of the building that has been constructed, and also energy features. After that, there was the first results. As you can see, these are the MCA results, and we can see in the left part of the graph the cluster on the right side of the y-axis is characterized by private ownership and construction company as the main contractor within the business model, as well as intended use associated with private homes and offices. Furthermore, this element seems to be closely related to having a natural person as a client and having more than 3 subcontractors within the project. And also the variables associated with a net building up area is about 162 until 1,732 square meter are quite important, and also an investment cost between 5,900 and 3 million, while the cluster on the left of the y-axis is characterized by public ownership, the identification of the public institution as the main client, and the architectural engineering studio as the main contractor. Other characteristics elements in the cluster are the presence of 2 or 3 subcontractors, and other variables related to those previously described are an investment cost between 60 million over 90 millions, 30,000 and a project duration between 4 and 10 years. While in the right part of the slide, as you can see, we can find the MCA analysis related to the physical and the energy aspects of the buildings and that has been built thanks to the business model adopted. And as you can see here, the A is the main related energy class, the main important one, and which is strongly correlated to a very low energy performance index, and also with the installation of heating, cooling, ventilation systems, with also the installation of walls and also the installation of photovoltaic panels, while heating system and ventilation system are quite related, but not as much as the installation of all the systems, so heating, cooling, and ventilation system. It's quite interesting that the energy certification D is related to the installation of the heating system and cooling system, while we can see that walls plus windows, so all the efficiency measures that are related to walls plus windows isolation are in the middle between the energy class A and energy class B. After that, we proceed with the results that came from the cluster analysis with the K-modes algorithm. We decided, first of all, to identify which were the main, the most representative number of clusters in the data set. And we decided to use the Olbo method, and we tried at first with three clusters, but we see that almost two of the three were almost the same. So we decided that two clusters were the best representative cluster of the whole data set. And after that, there was the identification of the case studies that belongs to cluster 0 and cluster 1. And as you can see here, there are in table 3, each case studies was put in one cluster rather than another. And also after that, there was the cluster properties description in table 4. And as you can see here, the cluster 0 was characterized by private ownership, a natural person as customer, and a construction company as contractor, as well as the presence of more than 3 subcontractors in their own business model. And other characteristics and exclusive elements of the profile are the investment cost between 509,000 and 3 million a constructed property and also with a net floor area between 162 until 1,732 square meters, while the second profile that is identified in cluster 1 is characterized by a public property, a client associated with a public financial institution, and a main contractor associated with an architecture, engineering firm, and also the presence of 2 until 3 subcontractors working with the main contractor for the construction of the property. And other elements are the investment cost between 60 millions until 90 millions, and also a net floor area of the property of more than 10,000. What is quite interesting to note is that the common characteristics of the both clusters are related to the properties, because the properties of both economic profiles have a project period between 1 and 3 years, a final energy class of a property A, and an energy performance index between 1 until 70 kilowatt hours square meters. And finally, in the both cluster, the isolation of the envelope, the installation of the heating and ventilation system, and the photovoltaic system are subsidized as part of a new construction project. So as we can see here, there are two kinds of economic figures that are forced, and I want to use this kind of business model for the construction of new buildings. And as we said before, there is cluster 0 and cluster 1. The main difference between these two clusters are related to the business model adopted and the actors that actually work inside this business model, because cluster 0, as we said before, is characterized by private properties, individual consumer, and a construction company as the main contractor, while cluster 1, on the other hand, show attendance of public properties with a public institution as customer and an architecture engineering firm as the main contractor. The difference have a significant impact on both the real estate market and urban planning, and it's more favorable for private investors to focus on smaller projects sustainable for private residential or commercial use, while the public sector is more likely to invest in large projects for public service or infrastructure. And also the similarities between the two profiles indicates the energy efficiency and also the sustainable technologies are priority aspects for both sectors, and so that this business model is mainly focused on that kind of things and change only thanks to the actors or to the main aim that is involved. And a little bit of conclusion, the research aims to go deeper inside the knowledge of the sustainable Turkey contract that we said is one contract and this one business model is mainly used for the construction of new efficiency buildings. And thanks to this, we decided to analyze the dataset of 11 case studies in order to identify the economic profiles that are related to them and that are more related to use this kind of business model. And after defining the variables, the MCA, so the multiple correspondence analysis, showed two different kind of groups about this business model. One which is more related to the private ownership, and the other one with the public ownership. And a single group of variables are associated with the energy characteristic of the property that is in common about the two profiles. And also this show that the energy class A is most significant, and that both of these profiles show that the buildings built has an EPA between 1 and 70 kilowatt hours square meters, and also that the insulation of the walls and the building system, heating, cooling, and ventilation were the main efficiency measure promoted. And the case studies are then divided in two clusters thanks to a Bow method, and we find out what we theorized in the MCA. And both clusters, as we said before, has given AP properties and also has similar characteristics from an energy point of view. And future developments, well, we did a little bit analysis among different countries, and we find that some case studies that belonging to different countries and that promoted the construction of new buildings thanks to the sustainable business model. New developments can be exploration of the factors such as a cultural influence and regional difference could provide deeper insights into the adoption of Turkey models and see how each country is related to this kind of model, and if also these economic profiles are the same in each country or can be different and can be relevant and different for each country, or each European country. Thank you.
Dear, thank you, Edda. It's particularly interesting your presentation, also the perspective of your research. It could be also interesting to reflect on in why do you select these different methodology to identify the preferable perspective for the Turkey contract is the first issue. And the second is related to what you think that could be the perspective in condition of partnership of private and public sector, because it's clear the perspective of only a private or only a public, but when we consider partnership of private public, do you think that could be possible to introduce some other reflection for the implementation of your approach?
Of course, as I told you before, it's a little bit an introduction. It's a research that is actually going on, and it could be a really, really interesting point to analyze. So thank you for the advice. We're gonna do for sure. And after that, as I said before, it will be also very, very interesting to focus on each country of Europe and see how it works in each country. What we want to give is only a general perspective and then go inside, go deeper. Thank you for all your advices.
I don't know if Professor Torre would like to make some question to Edda Donati. I am not sure that he hear me. Perhaps not. Okay.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you for your presentation. Have a nice day to you. And now we have the last presentation. The paper is introduced by Pierluigi Morano, Maria Rosaria Guarini, Antonella Roma, Felicia Di Litto, and Marco Locurcio. I don't know who of the team
Yes,
Is
again me.
Antonella, okay. Thanks again for your presentation. The floor is yours.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. So I present the research entitled Comparative Analysis of Economic Evaluation Techniques for Healthcare Initiatives, carried out with Professors Pierluigi Morano, Maria Rosaria Guarini, Felicia Di Liddo, and Marco Locurcio. The presentation is structured into 6 parts. In March 2020, the World Health Organization declared a global emergency due to the spread of COVID-19. The pandemic has caused high rates of infection, hospitalization, and death, putting a strain on health systems. Health is a fundamental right, and institutions must ensure strong and resilient health systems for their communities. The crisis has highlighted the critical nature of outdated and poorly equipped health facilities. The lack of innovative technology, health workers, and beds has resulted in overbounded facilities, struggling to cope with the surge in patients and continue to treat the chronically ill. In this context, governments have recognized the urgent need for effective transformation. The health needs of population are changing, and health systems are facing new challenges due to an aging population, the increasing prevalence of chronic disease, and the risk of epidemics. The critical issues and gaps identified in health systems worldwide during the COVID-19 pandemic were highlighted by the European Union, which implemented a series of actions and founding plans for member states to address this issue. The European Union has set up several founding programs to help member states address the critical health issues highlighted by the pandemic. A key initiative is EU for Health, which treats health as an investment to ensure a healthy, active, and productive population with a better quality of life. This program works alongside the cohesion policy, the European Union's main investment strategy, which uses structural funds to support strategic health actions in member states. Another major temporary investment plan running until 2026 is the Next Generation European Union, whose largest fund is the Recovery and Resilience Facility. As a part of the research, an in-depth study was conducted on how Italy acquired European funds to reinforce the national health system. Italy has developed the National Recovery and Resilience Plan, NRRP, which includes 6 missions. The sixth of these concerns investment in healthcare, with Italy allocating over 20 billion euros to improve healthcare. The NRRP addresses critical issues that emerged during the pandemic, including the need to adapt to the demographic and epidemiological changes and the need to develop a local care network. The plan also aims to reduce inequalities between northern and southern Italy. The intervention of the health mission are structured into 2 components, each with a specific reform and investment. The first aims to enhance local services through the construction of community homes, community hospitals, and territorial operation centers, the improvement of home care, the development of telemedicine, and a better integration of social and health services. The second component of the health mission focuses on upgrading technology and digital infrastructure, improving care delivery and monitoring through information systems, increasing funds for scientific research, and enhancing the skill of national health services staff through training. There is much to be done in the health sector at European and Italian national level. However, despite funding from the European Union and national governments, the health sector is characterized by ever-increasing costs. Improving or building a health facility is expensive. The number of people needing treatment is increasing. Chronic diseases are on the rise, and innovative technological equipment is available at ever-increasing cost. For this reason, the financial resources available are indeed limited, and the European Union requires that projects be supported by the results of evaluation demonstrating the effectiveness of an intervention, in order to certify that each intervention really offers the best value for money by containing healthcare costs. Economic evaluation is the most commonly used tool for assessing plans and projects that have an impact on the community. The main purpose of economic evaluation is to compare the cost and benefit associated with a project in order to identify the most optimal option among a range of possible alternatives. However, it should be noted that economic evaluation have inherent limitations that become more apparent when analyzing interventions in the health sector. The objective of this review is to provide an overview of the main techniques used to assess the feasibility of a health intervention, given the current interest in the subject. The aim is to outline their main characteristics, differences, and inherent methodological limitations. The choice of the most appropriate economic evaluation technique depends on the purpose and object of the analysis. A review of the European guidelines and an analysis of the scientific literature in this field show that cost-effectiveness analysis, cost-utility analysis, least cost analysis, and the cost-benefit analysis are the most commonly used evaluation for health interventions. In particular, cost-effectiveness analysis, cost-utility analysis, and least cost analysis are used when evaluating health programs, comparing treatment alternatives, or screening for disease. Cost-benefit analysis, on the other hand, is more appropriate for evaluating health infrastructure projects, such as hospital or outpatient clinics. All the economic evaluations cited quantify the cost of an intervention in monetary terms, but there is considerable variation in the quantification of benefits. The quantification of benefits is a much debated aspect of the analysis, especially when it comes to quantifying the effects on human health. In this regard, the only exception is the least cost analysis, which is the simplest approach. The least cost analysis is used to compare two health interventions, typically health programs, whose beneficial effects are known and equivalent, and then only the costs are analyzed to select the least costly alternative. In contrast, the cost-effectiveness analysis quantify benefits in natural units, such as life years gained or life years lost due to the mortality. However, researchers felt that considering only life years gained was reductive, as undergoing a life-saving procedure may result in disability. This is why the quality-adjusted life year, QALY, was introduced, as it is a measure that aims to combine years of life gained with the quality of life. Cost-benefit analysis differs from the other evaluation techniques in that it quantifies the benefits of an intervention in monetary terms. Different ways of calculating benefits within each evaluation technique are described in the literature, but the operational procedures are not reported. In cost-effectiveness analysis, life years gained are calculated using literature data or expert advice. Cost-utility analysis considers both life years gained and health-related quality of life. Patients rate their health on a scale from 0, death, to 1, excellent health. This score multiplied by the life years gained gives the QALY. Cost-benefit analysis, on the other hand, monetizes benefits using different methodologies, including the human capital approach and contingent valuation. The human capital approach is based on the principle that a health intervention is an investment because time spent in good health is associated with increased productivity of individuals in the labor market. Contingent valuation, on the other hand, is a stated preference technique based on the construction of a questionnaire describing a hypothetical market in which non-market goods are exchanged. The monetary evaluation of benefits in contingent valuation is carried out by asking a sample of respondents their willingness to pay. That means the maximum money that would pay to gain more years of life or better quality of life undergoing a health project. In summary, cost-effectiveness analysis and cost-utility analysis are used to compare treatment alternatives, procedures, technologies, etc. The final indicator that these evaluations provide are the incremental cost-effectiveness ratio or the incremental cost-utility ratio. These ratios provide information on the incremental cost per unit of health benefit obtained when comparing two different competing alternatives. Cost-benefit analysis quantifies the cost and benefits of an intervention in monetary terms and is therefore the only technique that allows comparisons between interventions in different sectors of the economy. A critical analysis of economic evaluation techniques was carried out to identify their main problems. For example, the QALY is subject to ethical criticism as it requires patients to assess their health before and after treatment. This reasoning penalizes a certain group of patients, such as those with permanent disabilities. Similarly, measuring the benefits in years of life gained is problematic, especially for the terminally ill, who might benefit from an intervention but not gain many years. Problems also arise with the final performance indicators such as HISR and ICUR. To judge these ratios, they must be compared with a threshold value, but there is no universally accepted threshold, making the assessment subjective and arbitrary. There are also several criticisms in the literature about the use of cost-benefit analysis to evaluate healthcare interventions. The first area of debate concerns the monetization of intangible benefits. Life, death, and quality of life are immeasurable goods to which it is unethical to assign a monetary value. The human capital approach, on the other hand, uses wage rates to assign a monetary value to illness, since a sick person is less productive in the labor market. This has been criticized because the labor market is imperfect and wage rates reflect inequalities such as gender or race. Finally, the most widely used method, contingent valuation, is criticized because the responses of individuals may be biased. Individuals tend to give very high values of what they would be willing to pay when their own health is at stake. Based on the critical issues identified in the analysis of the literature, there are therefore many problems that need to be investigated further in order to identify solutions that are more effective in the economic assessment of uncertain contexts such as healthcare sector. This research has aimed to provide a comprehensive overview of the most commonly used method in the healthcare sector in order to identify their inherent limitation. The future development of the research is to extend the study of these limitations of economic analysis in order to propose an evaluation approach to overcome these limitations. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Antonella, for a really interesting presentation. I think that the topic of health is particularly interesting, especially when we consider the opportunity to identify what kind of method could be useful to select the externalities in a different way. The crucial point is in which way we can identify the different kind of externalities and in which way they could be identified and also assessed. And especially the comparison that you introduced, considering the different perspective is particularly interesting because it's not so easy to analyze the cost opportunity that could be related to different strategies of valorization, and especially considering the way to introduce some strategies. If you have to compare you made this in your paper, so it's interesting the result. But if you have to select the different typology, considering the purpose of the construction of strategies, in which way you could identify the most relevant approach considering the result of your comparison?
I think that cost-benefit analysis is a complete technique, but I think that we should be implemented cost-benefit analysis with other techniques such as multi-criteria analysis, because in this way we can consider qualitative aspects of this field, because health is a particular field, so we have to expand our point of view in this way.
Yeah. Also could be interesting the reflection related to the indicator of ISTAT, considering the quality of life and the perception of well-being, because the concept of health related to well-being could be relevant for your research in order to understand in which way we can select some indicators that could be expressed by externalities, but also related to the preferences of the people, especially considering a selected groups of particular subject useful to express their preferences for the health condition.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your participation. I think that the session is only online because I see that the room is void. Anyway, I don't know if Professor Torre is able to connect, because I have understood that he has some problem of connection. Anyway, thank you so much for your all interesting presentation, and the next appointment is for the next session of EMEWE, and thank you so much, and I hope that could be a good occasion today to integrate our point of view and also to compare our different reflection of assessment and evaluation methodologies. Thank you so much for your very kind participation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to all.
Thank you. Maybe now you heard me for one second.
Ah, ci sei.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey,
It's working.
it's working.
What did you do? Because I tried everything. It wasn't a...
So can you go into the meeting room and run that?
This is the mission.
Yeah. Can you try to test it with your phone and with the laptop?
I think this is the microphone of the laptop.
Okay. So can you say something and ask them if they can hear you?
For the ones at home, can you hear us? There's someone here, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
It works now.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if you want to sit there or here. So I can change the webcam. I can put the webcam of the computer.
Well, let's get connected with these people that need to present.
Okay. If they are alive. Hi everyone, can you hear me? Atom?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So, how do
I don't know if you want to sit here and
Yeah.
I
Yeah, you can switch.
They are already presented. Okay.
No, but this is not the first one. It's yeah, okay. So you can switch or no?
What, the screen?
You said I can sit
Yes,
here.
yes, they can see you. If you sit here, they can see you.
They can see me?
Yes.
But I don't see.
Yes.
I don't see them.
Yeah, I know, because it's, I have to share the second screen.
Okay. Okay, hi everybody. Can you see me and hear me well? Can somebody give me a sign if this is possible for you guys?
We can see you. We can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. I'm Alenka Poplin, Iowa State University. This is a fully online session, but it's a hybrid as well because we have a huge audience here in Hanoi, this room H, and I will be chairing your session, and we will try to be on time, and therefore I ask the first presenter to present. Is it going to be, who is presenting?
Is Luis Cardoso.
Okay, welcome Luis. So the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
We can hear you very well.
Okay, let's start. I'm going to present a study about applying LSTM recurrent neural networks to predict revenue. I am one of the authors, Luis Pelin Cardoso. There are also two other authors, Marcos Quiles from Unifesp and André de Carvalho from USP. A bit introduction about your work. Accurate revenue prediction is crucial for effective inventory management, cost reduction, and strategic planning. Traditional forecasting methods struggle with the complexity of market volatility, seasonal variations, and changing customer behaviors. This study uses LSTM neural networks to accurately forecast the revenue of companies that sell products. We have chosen companies that sell products. We could also choose companies that sell services, but it's a bit difficult to find records about services. Products is a bit easier. There we can find it more. We can find records that are rich, and that's why we decided to use those kind of companies. And we utilized time series data from a financial ERP, which is Enterprise Resource Planning, applying LSTM networks to capture long-term dependencies and improve prediction accuracy. It's important to say that we used real data, and this is, I think, this is kind of thing that it's different in our study. And I'm going to tell a little bit more about that in the next slide. Let's compare a bit our work to the related work I have studied. Existing studies and research relevant to LSTM networks and say predictions were reviewed. We highlighted their methodologies and findings. We studied a bit about LSTM evolution and concept, and analyzed articles focusing on developing reliable sales range prediction mechanisms using data mining techniques. We also consider the use of deep neural networks such as CNN LSTM and Conv LSTM for time series analysis and forecasting. And that's why I think that our study is a bit different from the others. The vast majority, at least what I have seen, uses simulated data compared to our study that uses real data. That's one thing that we think it's a bit different, at least makes this is as important to the study. The methodology, a bit about that, data set. The data source was extracted from an online financial system, as mentioned, an ERP, covering sales from 300 companies between January 2018 and December 2023. We have chosen 19 features, among them sales date, company, and daily sales figures, counting to a total of 28 million records. But we decided to aggregate these records by sales date and company, resulting in a consolidated data set of a bit more than 4 million entries. What we have done, we transformed those data into a CSV file, then removed outliers using IQR, and standardized data scaling between 0 and 1, split the data into training and testing, 70% of the data for training and 30% for testing. And we prepared a sequence for training. We have chosen to create a 10-day subset to train the LSTM network or to make our analysis. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more that we're going to try to predict the 11th day. Our training data was again split into training and validation data, 80% for training and 20% for validation. And as I said, our evaluation was made after the training process, and the goal was to attempt to predict the revenue for the next day, which is the 11th day. If this validation was successful, the process would be extended to predict one more day, 12, 13, and so on. If unsuccessful, the data would be enriched with new features, and the cycle would start again to train more the LSTM and to find another way to do it better. We chose 3 different neural network architectures. I'm going to present only the best one, the winner, which is one with a layer of 50 neurons, an LSTM layer, that uses a hyperbolic tangent activation. Then a final layer, a dense one with 1 neuron, that uses a linear activation function. And we used the optimizer add-on, adaptive moment estimation, with a learning rate of 0.0001. And our loss function was mean squared error. We trained with 10 epochs and used a batch size of 100 records. This is the schema, this is the architecture drawn. And this is the training history with 10 epochs and 300,000 steps. A bit about the prediction. After the training phase, the prediction was employed, the prediction algorithm, is employed to forecast outcomes, for both training and test data sets to evaluate the accuracy of the predictions. And then I'm going to show a chart with the training records being used to predict, and the test ones. This is the train chart showing what we have seen, what we could find, and this is the test one, and we can see that we follow the trend. The predicted values follow the trend of the actual ones that we used there. The results. We tried to train 3 distinct architectures, as mentioned. The first one, the architecture one, was the winner. It used less time to be trained, and we found a training loss, a better value for training loss and validation loss. A bit about our result. The selected architecture demonstrated good generalization, evidenced by a relatively modest average error. However, the model's robustness and predictive accuracy can be enhanced. We think that can be enhanced by exploring additional architectures, and I think that's fair to be done, or expanding the data set to include more features, either by including more internal data from the database from that online system, or external data like consumer sentiment analysis. And also we could increase the volume of records. A discussion about our work. LSTM models provide valuable insights for revenue forecasting, leveraging company data sets effectively. Adopting LSTM-based analytics enhances planning and strategic execution with organizations. And organizations can reduce operational costs by minimizing inefficiencies in purchasing process through LSTM-driven insights. Our conclusion of the project, of the study. Automated methods to forecast revenue based on billing history enhance growth through better inventory management and cash flow estimation. Choosing the most suitable machine learning technique for revenue forecasting is complex and critical for success. And improving both the quantity and quality of data sets is crucial for neural networks to generalize effectively and to improve performance. Achieving an optimal balance between data volume, quality, and algorithm sophistication can significantly enhance company longevity. A bit about our future exploration. We could try a wider range of machine learning algorithms or real-time data analytics, and the impact of external factors to improve revenue prediction accuracy. That's it. If someone has a question, you can ask me.
We have a little bit of time. What are your next steps?
The next steps. I think that I work a bit more with more architectures. I think that would be nice. And another thing that I'd like to do is trying to enrich the data set with this architecture or the other ones I could find. But I think that would be nice, at least with external information like consumer sentiment analysis.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And we are going to move to the next presenter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. Next presenter.
Hello. Who Wonderful. Can you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Thiago Clementino. I'm the first author of the Incentivizing Honest and Online Decentralized Markets.
Okay, thank you so much. The floor is yours.
Let's Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see and hear you very well. Thank you.
Yes.
Good day. Sorry about my voice. I'm a little sick. It's a pleasure to be presenting our paper Incentivizing Honest in Online Decentralized Markets to you today. My name is Tiago Clementino, as I have said. I am with the Federal University of Campina Grande in Brazil. Let's start. First, a few definitions and foundations. A decentralized market is one that does not depend on a centralized authority to carry out its transactions. In this sense, the centralized market depends on the centralized authority mediating each transaction, such as what happens with credit card purchase in a physical environment. Similarly, examples of online versions of centralized markets are platforms like Amazon, for example. Decentralized online markets are less common, but we can point to Open Bazaar as an example. An initiative based on cryptocurrencies and decentralized protocols. These platforms provides the data used in this work. Other concept used here is the non-verifiable transaction. Non-verifiable transactions that were those that involve some difficult virtualization step, such as paying in cash or providing manual service. Centralized markets resolve this issue through validation from true centralized mediation, but decentralized markets do not have this possibility. Following with foundations, considering the buyer and the seller, or the active player and the passive player, respectively. The active player is the one who proposes the transaction and assumes the risk of delivering his value first. The passive player is the one who receives the value from the active player and for a moment has in hand his original value, the product or service it's supposed to deliver, and the value of the other player. At this point, he must decide whether to act honestly and deliver his consideration or not. The decision of the active player to pay at first is known as buyers and sellers dilemma. Consider the game G equals to the set P, A, and S as a buyers and sellers dilemma, where P consists of a set of exchanged values or products, and X and Y pertains to P. A corresponds to the set of negotiating players, where B, the buyer, and S, the seller, pertains to A. And as I equals to the set send, pay, not send, and not pay, corresponds to the set of strategies or actions of a player I. This dilemma is based on the assumption that the passive player will always prefer to act dishonestly, and the reason is described next. In the figure, the nodes represent who the next decision is with, being buyer or seller, and the edges represent the decision made. The dominant paths are highlighted. The dominant path is the one with the most advantageous strategy for the player taking the action. Notice that it always converts to not pay, and not send the product. Buyers and sellers dilemma is especially concerning in circumstances involving undervalued transactions, where the malicious player cannot be punished with conviction. Having defined the foundations, this study took place in three phases. Phase one, reviewing the literature to collect major decentralized models whose aim is to encourage honest in transactions with non-verifiable operations. Phase two, manually tagging transactions as success or failure in buyers and sellers in open bazaars historical data set according to annotated reviews and comments on corresponding transactions. And phase three, comparing the models obtained in phase one based on their performance in predicting the success or failure of transactions tagged in phase two. This prediction was measured based on methods inspired by the field of machine learning, which are recall, precision, and F1. The three phases mentioned above aims to answer the following research question. Which of the classes of solutions in the literature or combinations of their main features present superior performance by stimulating honest without validating transactions? In phase one, all works demonstrating tools to encourage honest, either admit some level of insecurity or appeal to preconditions that lead to some level of transaction verification. Such preconditions for overcoming the non-verifiable transactions problem in the literature are some level of centralization, in authentication that identifies users to intimidate the dishonest ones, the digital verification of delivered products, although in a decentralized environment, it's applicable only to products that may be completely digitalized, uh, and feedback that is used to build trust, but is more susceptible to fail because maybe forgotten. Truth network arbitration and payment guarantee were the models identified in the literature and combined to achieve the complete models analyzed here. In phase two, we use historical data collected from the defunct decentralized e-commerce marketplace Open Bazaar. Using multiple daily traces of Open Bazaar network over approximately 14 months, Apps and Christine observed its evolution over time. They collected data of transactions, items, and review messages. From text review messages associated with transactions, the success and failure of such transactions was manually inferred and tagged message by message up to a total of 3,034 manually tagged transactions. In phase 3, two classes of models were combined, resulting in the complete models under analysis. Behavior inference is one class, and incentive to honest is the other class. As demonstrated in the literature, to encourage honest without some behavior inference strategy is an intractable problem. Thus, each of the models analyzed has a behavior inference strategy. Here, the only viable one was the trust network, and one of two incentive to honest strategies, namely decentralized arbitration and payment guarantee, which are redundant in their function and were considered mutually exclusive. We borrowed the payment guarantee strategy from the work of Schwarzbach, in which the author models a decentralized market based on non-verifiable transactions. To this end, Schwarzbach demonstrated the need for some trust inference mechanism between the parties. Such need was fulfilled by associating this model to the trust network model. The trust network implemented in our comparison describes a more decentralized concept called Web of Trust, where there is no feedback, being less susceptible to fails, and the transactions between users are public, giving each user the freedom to take their own conclusions. Finally, the centralized arbitration is based on the selection of the arbitrator through consensus between the parties and was implemented, making the Web of Trust as the source of trust inference too. From here on, we named the analyzed models as T, TA, and TP. For introducing the trust threshold concept using for describe the results, consider two players, A and B, evaluating the possibility of carrying out a transaction T. To this end, the trust in a given player B is the Greek letter phi. If such a trust is greater than the trust threshold delta at a given time t, the transaction takes place. Although it achieves some success, OpenBazaar was short-lived when compared to centralized models like Amazon and eBay. Such a fate may have been anticipated due to OpenBazaar difficulty in encourage honesty, falling into buyers and sellers dilemma. The evidence of such may be in our results, where even the worst model T did better at predicting failed transactions than the models used in OpenBazaar. The dark headline in the left figure marks the number of transactions that fail in the dataset. Notice in such left figure, the total number of unsuccessful transactions predicted and avoided, lighter headline, decreases as the trust threshold increases. This is because a bad seller is likely to have a bad reputation. And increasing the threshold increasing the threshold predicts the failure of transactions involving sellers with a bad reputation. With the trust threshold very low, most transactions are considered as safe. For the threshold close to 1, most transactions are considered as insecure. This is depicted by the rising light blue line in left figure. To the optimal threshold point is shown in right figure, where the prediction and recall metrics cross F1 metric at approximately threshold equals to 0.7. The green, red, and blue lines in right figure, they represent the F1 prediction and recall metrics respectively. The mechanism behind the decentralized arbitration plus trust network, instead of the model TA, instead of using mutual trust between buyer and seller, determines that buyer and seller reach consensus in a third player they both trust. The buyer then transfer payment to the consensual chosen third player, who withholds payment to the seller until he delivers the product or service. Based on that, this model achieves the best results according to right figure, where the intersection of F1 recall and precision metrics occurs at 0.965 F1, the best result of 3 models evaluated, and in a trust threshold of 0.607, which is a feasible value. For the trust network plus payment guarantee results, see the left figure describing the success prediction in transactions as the trust threshold grows. You can see that the payments guarantee protocols avoid the explosion of fake positives for very large values of threshold, where the majority of successful transactions would be considered as insecure, the light blue line. But it happens after its intersection point between metrics between F1 prediction and recall metrics, as you can see in the right figure. So, in conclusion, it was observed that the application of trust network without feedback associated with decentralized arbitrator, the TA model, showed significantly superior performance than the others based on metrics of recall, precision, and F1. But the solution TEP, the trust network without feedback associated with payment guarantee, is the only one that avoids the explosion of fake positives for very large values of the threshold. Despite the consistency of the results, it's still no solution in the literature that actually solves buyers and sellers dilemma in an anonymous, decentralized environment involving non-vertical transactions. This finding emphasized the ongoing nature of the problem and the need for further research and innovative solutions in this domain. Thank you for your kind attention. That's it. Question?
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience? No? Any questions? No. I do have a question. I'm interested in, you said that you used Open Bazaar data. So I would like to understand what kind of data that is and what do you get from this data set, and how useful it was.
The data set consists of the data set consists of historical transactions that happens in the open network of Open Bazaar. Open Bazaar is a marketplace that connects buyers and sellers, and such data set consists of transactions with payment and notification of delivery, and takes review messages after the transactions, dealing to evidence of success or fail of such transaction.
And it's open source data. You can everybody can have an access. I don't know this data set, so
Yes.
you recommend using it? Is a very good database, or how many? I mean, is it accessible to everybody?
Yes, as the data set, as the source code used in this analysis are open source, available in GitHub.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. For the graphs that you showed, if you can go back to slide 15, I have a question.
Here?
Yeah, on these both graphs, you have a line in red and in yellow that are straight lines. And then you have failed and successful that show the dependency, trust, threshold, and transactions. Can you explain the two straight lines? Because you have them on the next graph as well.
Sorry,
And,
can you explain what?
Yeah, and it would be actually good to put, if you have the explanation of the color, it would be good to put explanation of all the colors of the graph. So, but I was not sure why these two straight lines are there, and they're the same in both methods.
Okay, I will explain the details of such graphs.
We have 1 minute for this. You have 1 minute.
That's okay. The blue line in the left graph represents the successful transactions. The transactions.
I if you can explain the straight lines that are yellow and red.
Yes, the bottom line, the bottom straight line is the failed transaction, the total failed transactions inferred from the data set, manually tagged in the data set, and the top straight line represents the total transactions evaluated in such data set.
But you get for both methods the manually tagged the same results.
Repeat, please.
Anyway, we have to move to the next one because we are late, and this was not clear to me. So maybe if you present one more time, you can explain it better. But I appreciate, thank you so much. And we have to move to the next presentation. I'm sorry about that. I keep a very strict 20 minutes per presentation. So maybe if there is if a presenter is missing, then maybe we can come back to you if you agree on that, if you are still around. Okay, the third presenter is, thank you so much again. Thanks for your presentation. Yeah, obrigado. So, Okay, Ramon,
Hello.
are you going to present?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wonderful. We are looking forward to your presentation.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can you hear me? Is everything okay?
We can hear you very well.
Yes, very well.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Uh, good afternoon, everyone. Today I will be discussing a critical topic in the field of healthcare technology. Okay, uh, the importance of health information systems and electronic health records in improving healthcare service. For this, I will present you our work as is MESIS, non-agile seven fire meter for healthcare information systems. Um, we will also delve into the challenges of data heterogeneity, the need for middle to facilitate integration and interoperability, and the current landscape and the future needs for middle solutions in healthcare. First, about the health information systems and electronic health records, they play a pivotal role in modern healthcare. HIS are designed to collect, process, store, and distribute information to support decision making and control within healthcare organizations. HRRs, on the other hand, digitally store health information about the individual's life, supporting continuity of care, education, and research. These systems enable clinical teams to easily access patients' informations, uh, integrate service, reduce treatment costs, and ultimately provide better healthcare. However, integrated these types of data present significant challenges. About the data heterogeneity, the existence of different data types and formats complicates the process of integration. These issues hinders the seamless sharing and utilization of information across different healthcare systems, thereby affecting the quality and the efficiency of healthcare services. The complexity of data heterogeneity lies in the variety of data sources, including clinical data, administrative records, and personal health data. Each of these data types may use different formats, standards, and terminologies, making it difficult to achieve an unfiled view of patient's health information. Also, the interoperability is the ability of the different systems to transfer and interpret data correctly. In the healthcare code domain, achieving interoperability is crucial for improving the quality of care and services. Unfortunately, many healthcare systems face significant interoperability challenges, which difficulties effective data sharing and integration. So, Middle solutions offer a promising approach to address these challenges. Middle acts as a software layer that abstracts development details, promoting integration between different systems. It provides an interface for customer integration, making network details transparent, and protecting functionality implementation details. Despite the potential benefits, middle solutions in healthcare have limitations. We check a systematic review of 14 major platforms revealed that no one of them fully utilized open communication standards like HL7 Fire, which are essential for ensuring interoperability and data exchange between web services. mainly. Um, Also, HL7 Fire is an open standard designed to facilitate interoperability between healthcare solutions. However, many existing middleware platforms do not leverage this standard, limiting their effectiveness in promoting seamless data exchange. And we have a need for a flexible, scalable, and secure solution. Uh, there is a pressing need for middle solutions that are flexible, scalable, and secure. This solution should be capable of integrating diverse data sources and support various healthcare applications. By adopting open standards like HL7 Fire, we can develop middle platforms that enhance interoperability, improve data integration, and ultimately lead to better healthcare outcomes. In conclusion, the integration and interoperability of healthcare data are essential for improving healthcare access. While challenges like data heterogeneity and interoperability issues exist, middle solutions offer a better solution, a good solution for these requirements. Okay, by leveraging open standards like Agile HL7 Fire, we can develop a robust middleware platform that supports the seamless integration of healthcare data, leading to improved patient care and more efficient healthcare systems. Uh, I am excited to present you Mises, a middle platform designed to enhance the interoperability in healthcare information systems. In our discussion, we'll cover the significance of Mises, its architecture and development, and how it addresses the key challenges in healthcare data integration. Okay. Mises is a middle platform based on Edge L7 Fire standard, specifically developed for healthcare information systems. Its primary aim is to promote interoperability between different healthcare applications and information systems. By focusing on the communication layer and making implementation details invisible to developers, Mises facilitates the integration of heterogeneous solutions seamlessly. One of the core strengths of Mises is its ability to promote interoperability. In healthcare, interoperability is crucial, as discussed, as it allows different systems to communicate and exchange data effectively. Mises ensures that various health applications can work together, thereby improving the quality and the efficiency of healthcare systems. Um, for Mises to be effective, it must meet several critical requirements. First, promote the transparent integrations of the heterogeneous data. Mises must handle diverse data types with high adaptation and flexibility. This allows for the centralization of the health data, make it easier to access cross-reference information, enable scalability. Mises must support scalability, allowing applications to handle an increasing number of devices, systems, and data volumes without compromising on reliability, fault tolerance, real-time synchronization, and response times. And Mises must provide security and privacy. Given the sensitivity of the health data, Mises must ensure robust security and privacy measures. Uh, okay, about the development and the architecture, Mises architecture is designed to support integration of various health systems and applications. Um, in this architecture, we have a middle layer responsible for data integration and processes in processing and share transparent data and secure data. We have the client application. These client applications interact with the middleware via HTTP requests. It is sending data to be integrated or receiving integrated data in a structured and format. We have a centralized database. Mises uses a centralized database to store data, facilitating easy access and management. And we handle the main requirements. The architecture is built to handle data heterogeneity, scalability, security, and privacy. The last Mises was built using Java, Spring Framework. We have MongoDB, and we have a library have Happy Fiber. This is the conceptual architecture of Mises. We have a middleware as a central element, okay, where the client applications integrates with the middleware and exchange data and process the middleware process data and provide the data for the clients. Here we have two views of the architecture. First of all, we have the modulus view of Mises, and we have the client applications, the middle as a central element with this model, security model, data collection model, interoperability model, and the persistence and data access model. We have two database, plus a relational database, and we have a non-relational database. And we have in the right, we have deployment view. This is a web application, so we deploy in application server Apache Tomcat. Okay, in a virtual machine, in the Linux server, and etc. About the results, okay, we in the context of this work, we we integrate this five independent health systems from different domains and use it in a productive environment using Mises. Okay, and we developed two proofs of concept in these POCs. We developed two new applications that consume Mises integrated data. First of all, we implemented the integrated health application. Is a web application built in Java with Spring that consumes the data and centralizes the data of the patient. And we develop a mobile application with Flutter, okay, that consumes the data integrated by the middle. From the developer of this application, it was possible to analyze the needs, the requirements of promoting the transparent integration of the heterogeneous data and providing the security and privacy. We can check the productivity gain. We consulted the already integrated data. Okay. To evaluate the experience that developers had in the process developing a new application using the integration for middleware based on the HL7 fire, L7 fire, standard for health information systems. We made an online questionnaire built on Google Forms. In this questionnaire, we have 5 questions. First, we check how do you access the degree of senior programming. for each programmer, how many hours. Three developers classify themselves as junior developers. Okay, pointed their lower level of experience and indicate. Second, we question how many hours did you spend developing the application. In total, they spent 23 hours. Third, we question, do you believe using JSON format to exchange data influenced the development process? Uh, Unanimously, all developers confirmed. Uh, we also question how would you effectively divide the hours allocated solving technical problems and the amount allocated working on integration activities. And first, and for last, how do we evaluate both on positive and negative points? The experience in using Midway in developing application that involves integration between health systems. As positive point, integrate data from different databases, and negative point, a need for specific mapping for the file resources. We also made performance tests with JMeter. This is our results with performance tests. We can check if how many clients we have more errors. Uh, we will work in this. And about the conclusions, the interoperability between health systems is a relevant problem, mainly due to the heterogeneity of data in this context. To help with this problem, we developed a mirror for healthcare systems, MISIS, whose main requirements are to promoting transparent integration of heterogeneous data, promote scalability, security, and data privacy. As a result, we developed and evaluated it on the integration between 5 health systems and developed 2 new applications to evaluate MIS's compliance with the defined requirements. And from the evaluations, we understand that MIS meet the requirements, promote interoperability, and improving efficiency between health information systems. As future works, we will work in the further performance testing. Publicly, we will have we'll make deployment of the solution in a public cloud like a AWS, and we will make a validation in a real world context like as a hospital and everything. So that is, I appreciate for your attention, and if you have one more questions, make it.
Yeah, you are just on time, but we have 1 minute.
Okay.
So be quick. So you said that you integrated 5 different health systems. So if you can explain which 5 and how did this work, but 1 minute.
Okay. We integrate. Okay, Sarah. We integrate five systems used in our state. Okay. We have first one system is a PEP. Okay. Electronic health record. We have the patient data. Second, we integrate beds manager, ou seja, system. We integrated a system that collects the vital signs of the patient in ICU beds. We integrated to epidemiologic system. Okay, so that is the systems we integrate.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I have more questions, but really great. Everything else was really clear. Thank you so much, Ramon.
Thank you.
We have
Thank you.
very appreciate. So we have to move to the next one. Shayama Wilson, if I'm saying your name correctly, the floor is yours. It's close and correct me, please.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Hope now you can see my screen.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We can hear you and see your screen as well. If you push, yeah, Ramon, if you can mute yourself would be better because of the echo. And if you can click on the presentation mode so we can see the whole screen, which would be the little, now we lost it. That was good. You can share the same way as you did. And then
Okay. Okay, so I will choose this one. Is it okay
yes.
now?
Yeah, this is perfect. But everybody has to mute. Ramon, if you can mute yourself.
No, it's
Good?
yeah.
Okay. Yes, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello everyone. So I'm Shama Wilson, PhD student at Western Sydney University, Australia. So currently we do research related to ontology engineering, and I'm going to discuss my paper entitled Maintaining the Quality of Evolving Ontologies in the Agriculture Domain. So basically, we discussed the challenges that we identified related with the ontology quality, and we discussed the tool that we have developed to analyze the structural quality. So. Let me explain what is ontology first. You may know ontology is a formal representation of knowledge. On the other words, I can say it is a knowledge modeling technique. So that use concepts and relationship to define or structure the domain knowledge. Say, for example, as you can see, there are we can see some information and data in a particular domain. So we can identify groups or some common concepts or classes. So those are we can group using concepts using the ontology languages. So for that they called concepts, and also we can define links between these concepts. We call them relationships. So and this is the simple structure of ontology. Not only that, we can define other rules like by defining axioms. So actually we already have developed such ontology for agriculture for farmers to support make effective decisions. So in developing this ontology, we consider the different contextual factors then that farmer can consider, like the farm size, the soil type, and the weather conditions. By analyzing also we analyze the crop knowledge. So by analyzing all the information, we structured the agriculture knowledge, and specifically we develop formal ontology, so that this ontology underlying logic is description logic that supports to analyze the information logically, and also to support to produce actionable information for farmers to make decisions. Then we deploy this system in the real environment, and we detected some quality issues associated with the ontology. So that is the motivation behind for us to do more quality evaluation. So actually we received from the users. The user receive incomplete answers for their queries and some inaccurate answers or information for their queries. So we analyze this further, and when we analyze the ontology quality, we recognize that ontology quality can be discussed under several aspects like structural intrinsic, domain intrinsic, domain extrinsic, and application extrinsic. So the structural intrinsic means it discusses the properties of design principles and syntax and rules associated with the ontology. And the domain intrinsic quality means the quality that the knowledge ontology stored. And domain extrinsic means the information, the property of the information provided through the ontology. And the application extrinsic mean the property of the ontology, when the ontology in a particular system, like how it is efficient, how it's reliability likewise. So not only that, when we analyze, we recognize that there are many characteristics associated with each aspect. And also, if we consider one characteristic, we can use multiple measures, we call measures for them. So we can find multiple measures that we can use to assess each characteristic. So we started to address the quality step by step. So this paper, we mainly focused on how we address structural intrinsic quality. So why we focused structural quality? So because we face several challenges when analyzing or evaluating the structural quality of an ontology. So if I brief, so we recognize that there are a lot of tools available to evaluate the structural properties of structural quality of an ontology. But the problem is none of the tool contain all the set of measures that we want to evaluate our agricultural ontology. And on the other hand, we identified some pitfall in ontology evaluation tool, like tools do not consider inferred entity. So say for example, as the ontology underlying theory is description logic, it has the capability to infer hidden relationship. That property has not been considered in the existing tool. And also we face difficulties in assessing ontologies, like we use multiple tools to evaluate different characteristics. Imagine this is an evolving ontology, so then each time we have to perform evaluation. So each case we have to use multiple tools to evaluate different characteristics. So those are the set of challenges we face in assessing structural quality. So we thought to develop a single tool that is suited to assess the structural quality, specifically in assessing agricultural ontology. So if I again take the ontology quality models, first we thought to focus on structural intrinsic characteristic as highlighted using blue color boxes. So, and we identified how these characteristics associated with other characteristics, and that's how those characteristics cause to have problem in our real environment. So after identifying these relationships and the characteristic, we identified set of measures that we want to focus. To assess the particular characteristic, there are set of measures, but we should select what set of measures were valid for our use case. So then we analyzed and identified measures for each characteristic. And also say for example, if we take compliance in our case, so assessing the object property usage or relationship usage is really
useful, because that is one of the principle that we have to follow, because linking the two concepts is really important to produce accurate or complete answer. So we have to check whether all the defined object properties or relationship is used in the ontology, or properly define the opening concept and ending concept. We also call domain and ranges. So then likewise, we recognize the related characteristics with measures. So this is the tool we developed by implementing the identified measures. And these are some algorithms we developed to implement the measures. Say, for example, to calculate this hierarchical structure, depth and breadth, we assume ontology as a knowledge graph, and we used graph algorithm to calculate depth for a given root node, and also to check the class usage or class richness. Actually, class richness is we check whether the defined classes populated with data, or are there any isolated classes without data. So to check that, we develop separate algorithms. Likewise, we implemented separate algorithms to calculate the measures that we have identified. And we perform, once we develop the algorithms and the tool, we performed two evaluation. One evaluation to check the accuracy of the implemented measures, the second evaluation to check the usability of the tool. And if you mention the evaluation of first evaluation that we have done in the first phrase, so to evaluate the accuracy of the measures that we have developed, we use 7 ontologies available in the repositories. We randomly checked 7 ontologies and specifically developed for the agriculture domain, and we compare the implemented measures with the existing tools. So this is the overall results when comparing with our developed algorithm and the other tools. We identified altogether we identified 37 measures. In checking the accuracy, we recognized that for some measures like M29, M30, so for those measures, actually I have mentioned what is M20 and 30 in my paper, and here as well. So we recognize that to evaluate that measures, we couldn't identify the existing tool that consider those measures. So to check the accuracy of these measures that we implemented, we used we perform manual calculation and compares. So then when testing the accuracy, we recognize some pitfalls associated with our measures, but later we figure out and we fixed it, and finally we was able to come up with the accurate measures set. So, and that is about the evaluation. That's how we did measures accuracy. And then we tested with the tool by using real ontologies. So what we did, we got the two versions of ontologies that already used by the users, and we tested those two versions. So this actually we perform this evaluation to get an idea whether this tool is useful for the developers to detect the quality issues associated with structural quality, and whether this tool is giving good insight for the developers to address the quality. So then based on the evaluation, we recognize that this evaluation will provide the key insight for developers. Say, for example, this helps to detect the different pitfalls. Like if we give examples, so you can see that let's say class connectivity. You can see the class connectivity here. It detected the 4 classes disconnected. So, but the both version contain that value. That means the developers have not provided their attention for these disconnected classes. These classes may be not useful for the ontology. If so, they have to remove those classes, or otherwise they have to identify what are the relationship these classes should have. And also we identified, while evolving the ontology, the completeness has reduced. By looking at the class richness, we can determine that. So say for example, when comparing the version 1 and version 2, the version 2 completeness has decreased. It may be because of when they introduce new concepts, the developers couldn't populate the concepts with data. That highlighted the point, so then developer can focus on the particular classes, because we highlighted the isolated classes as well. So then the developer can look at the isolated classes that they haven't populated, then they can populate it. Likewise, this tool supports to developers to get get insights and to address the quality issues. And to conclude, so actually we identified quality issues associated with ontologies, and also we recognize several aspects of qualities of ontology. So then we started to address the challenges in ontology quality step by step. So as the initial step, we focused on the structural quality, and we recognize what are the set of structural quality characteristics that we need to focus with measures, and we developed the tool. So in the future, we expected to develop this tool as a web-based tool, because currently this is a standalone application, so that if we can deploy as a web-based, then the public users also can use this. And not only that, so currently we consider the main ontology in evaluating the ontology, but we identified some ontologies contain imported ontologies from other repositories. So we are considering whether we need to evaluate such imported ontologies or not, and we are still exploring in that area as well. Yeah, these are key references, and thank you very much for listening my presentation.
Thank you so much. Very interesting work. My question is, and we have 2 minutes. My question is, how long did it take you to program? Which language did you use? How difficult it was to come up with a workable solution? And did you do it on your own, or somebody else helped you, or how did this work?
Yes, of course. So actually, I am engaging in an agriculture project. So the ontology has been developed someone else, but I'm the one who caring of testing quality. So, and we used ontology web language to develop the ontology. To do implementation or to develop the algorithm, I use ontology web language APIs that provide some functions to test the basic functions. Otherwise, we have to implement our own algorithms.
So this means this was part of a bigger project, and your role was to test. Is that correct?
Test, yeah, yes, and to keep the ontology up quality for that user to easily, effectively use the information. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, how much work a PhD, one person could do, but you answered my question. Thank you so much. So good luck with your continuing your research. And we have one more presentation scheduled here. If one of the presenters is here, Sakorn or Cheat. And I'm sorry for not knowing everything about the names, how to pronounce them correctly. So who is here.
Hello, Professor. I'm Ponipa Chantawong. I'm a student from University of Phayao, Thailand.
So is this the presentation on optimizing on body sensor placements? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Perfect. The floor is yours. We are all eager to hear what you have to say and share. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, I'm Ponipa Chantawong. Today I'm going to talk to you about optimizing on-body sensor placement for deep learning-driven human activity recognition. First, I talk about introduce our research, and then I will talk proposed methodology, and then I will talk experimental results, and finally I will give conclusion and show possible future works. For introduction, wearable devices show great potential in health and fitness monitoring applications, assisted living technologies, and context-aware computing. The strategic arrangement of sensor and integration of data from various on-body location play a crucial role in developing HAR system using deep learning. There needs to be true explanation that assess strategy for pacing sensors, and the study explore data from accelerometer and gyroscope at 5 location on body, including which arm rails, right pockets, and left pockets. This diagram shows our proposed method composed of 4 main processes. The first process is data acquisition. The second process is data pre-processing. The third process is data generation. And the final process is training model and classification. For data acquisition, we use publicly available dataset known as progressive datasets. It utilizes smartphone sensor, correct or data on 7 physical activity, including walking, running, sitting, standing, jogging, biking, walking upstairs, and walking downstairs. These data, sorry, these data use 10 male participants aged between 25 and 30 is engaged in every activity for 3 to 4 minutes, with biking on conducted outdoor and indoor walking and running occur in university building, and while their walking tasks were performed in 5-floor building with stairs. For pre-processing, we use two methods. Before extracting feature, initial sensor data underwent pre-processing state that involve denoising and normalization. First, denoising was performed to filter out any noise and preventing of signals, and normalization was applied to standard die or sensor, and leading to standard scales, ensuring consistency, and pre-processing data stream were then segmented into fixed length portion using a sliding window approach, and segmentation utilized overlapping window of 5-second duration with 50% overlap between window. For this deep learning model, we use 5 models. CNN utilize layer structure comprising conventional layer for extraction features, and we use pooling layer for active scale invariance, and flattened and fully connected layer, and LSTM Tegel vanishing gradient challenge in standards recurrent neural network model by modeling long range context using spatial memory cells and gate operation. And GRU offer a streamlined alternative to LSTM and competitive performance across variant applications. Bidirectional versions of both LSTM and GRU enhance context modeling by considering information from both past and future time steps. And this comparative evaluation provides valuable insights into practical deep learning approaches for addressing multi-position activity recognition challenge. For experimental results, first accelerometer data for analysis by LSTM and GIU model consistently achieve a high accuracy across all sensor position and left pocket, right pocket, bell arm, and wrist. And by LSTM attained top accuracy of 99.86% on left pocket, while GIU reach a peak score of 99.88% on the right pocket data. CNN model are although less accurate than my by LSTM and GIU on accelerometer data. Second, gyroscope data for analysis by GIU model attain maximum accuracy peaking at 99.38% on which data. In which position consistently use high gyroscope accuracy for all model. These rotational motion sensing and LSTM and bi-LSTM architecture exhibit lower gyroscope accuracy ranging between 78 to 88% and outperformed by outer model on non-reach position. For third, combine accelerometer and gyroscope data for analysis. Utilizing accelerometer and gyroscope data further enhance accuracy across the by GIU network reach 99.94% for GIU. For conclusion, first, we study exemplifies deep neural network architectures, including CNN, LTM, bi-LTM, GIU, and by GIU. Second, the models were trained and evaluated on a public dataset named pervasive datasets. And final, bi-LTM, GIU, and by GIU models consistently outperform CNN and standard LTM models, which depend on bimodal inputs and which offers additional motion sensing capability from both the accelerometer and gyroscope, thereby enhancing of recognition across multiple positions. For futures, we will addition experiments with more extensive datasets can enhance general application of finding and identify level of complexity from multimodal HAR using deep neural network. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. I have two questions. One is, how did you evaluate the accuracy? So how did you say it's 99% accuracy? What did you compare to what? So is accurate comparable to what?
Sorry, again, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you maybe know? So I don't know. Your name is not on the paper, so I wonder. There were two different names on the paper, and your name is not on the paper. So can you explain your role in this paper or this research?
Yes. I'm a student computer engineering, and Dr. Sakhon Mekhlasawanit is my professor.
Okay. So which part did you do? What did you do for the paper?
What?
Or you are just presenting?
We develop a model. Yes.
You personally. You as a student, what did you do?
I'm use raw data and pre-processing data next to I'm use raw data to model, but I'm not name in paper.
Okay. Then, so your professors, the authors of the paper, are not available to present, and they ask you to.
He meeting. He busy.
He's busy.
Yes.
Okay. Busy. Too busy to present at a conference.
Busy.
Okay. Any question from the audience? Anything you want to discuss? Anybody that is online and something that we didn't discuss enough? Anybody wants to say something or ask something? We just want to make you happy with the session. So, okay. If there are no questions, we wish you all a very good day. The rest of the day here, we are going to have a welcome party in 20 minutes. It's a pity you were not able to join us, but thank you all for sharing your interesting research. It was really good to hear all the presentations. Thank you so much. With this is the end of the session and also the end of the day, first day of the conference.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Isso aí, né, Tiago?
Vamos lá, professor.